Hello friends. I uploaded a video a pretty long time ago about how to read the data from the Excel file and then convert them into the HashMap. I went through comments and questions that my viewers were asking on that video, that how they would be able to read the data from when you have multiple columns or when your data is pretty big. This usually happens when your framework is designed on the DataDriven Framework with Excel file, and then most of the times this happens when your data is pretty huge, and it will be pretty there are quite a pros and cons in this. When you have a huge data, then it will be the performance will be a little slow, but then it is easier to maintain, right? So there are some things you are getting, some things you're not getting. Let me go with the topic. Before that, if you have not watched my other video, how to read the data from the Excel file, please do watch it. It is very detail oriented and it will be very helpful for you to understand how the files are structured with those Excel readers. For this purpose, I'm getting this with the library POI. That's what it reads from the Excel file. My other video talks more about those and goes from very basic. So let me go with a quick recap, so that will help you what it is about. So this is the file that I have, Excel file, which is called data.xlsx. So this file has just two sets, right? Two columns, one is the keys and one is the values. So top one's a header, I don't count that, I count from here. Base URL is the key. Then whenever you said give me the base URL, it will give you this, right? So key to value, you are asking a key and then the reader will provide you the value. So that's what all about the HashMap. HashMap key becomes a PW, then the HashMap value will be PASS213, right? So in order to read this, there are some limitations to this. So let's go with that. So the class that I have was Excel Reader. This is where that file has been written from. And then I have this load Excel. This does nothing but just loads that Excel with the sheet. And then I have this reader method. That whole thing this is about, it will read from each row from key with the key and a value, and then it will store them into the HashMap. So my map is the HashMap. HashMap stores the value and then puts that into the outer map. Super map is the outer map. Outer map keeps that entire thing as a master data as a key, and then it will keep that as a value, and then super map will be the one that is returning. So here I have another method that's called get value. Get value returns that when you say get master data is the key from here that you just stored. Then what happens, this get master data is going to give you my map, right? Whatever my map is, and then that my map is going to then my map.get key is the one that you just asked for. Any whatever you call this method, right? This method needs the key as a params. So you would say Excel reader dot get value and you pass that, okay, give me base URL. Then it will provide you base URL. How does it do that? It will get this map from this data map. Data map is the one here, right? Same method. That method returns you the map. From that map is the outer map. It's not the directly map you can just access. You have to first access inside the outer map. Once you get inside the outer map, then you go into my value is a map, and then you get the key, right? So I don't want to go more in detail on this because it's already done and it is already uploaded. If you need to repeat it, you know, feel free to do so. It is very helpful video. Now I'm going to go one more line up. So this is going to be very helpful for any folks who is interested in doing the data driven with the Excel file. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is the another data I just prepared. This is just the demo file, so it will be just that I created. This is usually how your data driven will be structured into the Excel file. So I have the sheet. sheet is called test data. A is a keys, so this pink section is entire is a key. B is a value, so value 1, that will be set 1, right? Set 2, set 3, set 4, set 5, set 6. So anytime you go from this, first name is Cheryl, that's for the first set. Second test you run, first name would be the Jonna. Third test you run, first name would be the Brittany. So how this data driven is going to be structured is based on which column is in the sequence the test is running, right? So that goes afterwards, but first of all we need to first make sure you are reading the correct column to the correct cell as a key to the correct value, right? And then you have to store. So my goal is I'm going to create a multiple map, right? Multiple map, and I need to store the entire map into one big map. So my structure is going to be the list. So this is a map 1. This map is going to contain key and value, right? And then second time, once this whole thing goes up to this last line, then my next loop is going to start from again A as a key and then C as a values, right? So once this is done here, then it's going to start again A as a key, D as a value, right? So it's going to give me bunch of maps, right? So B is a one map, C is a one map, this is a map, right? This whole thing is a map. So here if you see 1 2 3 4 5 6, I need a 6 sets of map, right? So you can add as many as you want, right? But my suggestion is, if your test is entirely dependent upon the Excel file, don't try to make it so much complicated that you will not get use of it, right? If you are trying to just run with the multiple sets of the data, don't just create multiple sheets like this, right? That just creates, that's not possible. All you do is you pass the sheet name, it will read from there. But the point is, don't make it so complicated that it is harder to maintain, it will be slow. It's just make it simple as it is easier to maintain, right? That's my suggestion. You can get as many as line you want, many as column. Once you get through this video, this is going to be very helpful. Okay, so let's focus, right? So I'm going to just close my older classes. I have this new class called master data. So master data is the Java class that I created. It's just a blank, right? Nothing there, right? So first of all, let me start with quite a few things. I have a new main method here. So I'm going to create some main here, some kind of private stuff. So my file path I need first. So master test data.xlsx, this is the file that I want to read now, or data I read this file, now I want to read this file, right? So that's one thing I need to do. Next thing is, let me go ahead and create some instances of the Excel file, right? So private file input stream, right? Let's copy this quite a few things here. I need a file input stream, workbook, sheet, and row. So this should be right. Let's just try that. So this would be XSSFRL. Again, this we already went through this, so that's why I'm just expediting this piece here, and I want to focus more on the core piece. So XSSF sheet, right? So this is going to be XSSF workbook. So these things we already went through in my other videos. So all I did is I created some instances, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this Excel file first. So in order to load, I'm going to create one method. It's going to throw the exception because we're doing something with the file, right? So first of all, I'm going to just create one file, new file. Let's copy this piece. This is going to need the file path here, right? So let's import that. It would come from io.file, right? So then I need to call this FIS is the file input stream, right? That needs a file equals new. Okay, file input stream needs a file. Then next line I'm going to write the workbook equals new workbook, that will need the FIS, right? Then I need a sheet. Then this sheet name would be the sheet name that is here, which is a test data, right? So test, exactly same name, otherwise it will not read. So at this point it loads the Excel file and it reads it is already, it reads the Excel file already at that point. So now once the file is loaded, we just want to close that. We don't want to that input stream to close it. Okay, so once that is closed, my loading piece is done. Let's just do some indentation here. So my next piece is this is very be careful here. This is where we're going. Let's write that method. So public okay, that would be, I'll just say read okay exception. So here couple things you need to understand is I'm going to return this with list, right? List of map. Map has a string, this is just the map, but I need to store them as a list, because if you see here, list 1, list 2, list 3, list 4, list 5, list 6, I'm going to have multiple lists. So what the list is basically the collections that you are uncertain about, right? You don't know what the size is going to be. Then what's the best practice is you just create them into the collections and it will then automatically increment, right, as the demand goes. So it's showing red, don't worry on that, because it's showing red because it is looking for list to be returned. So first of all, after that method, right, I just created the name which has a list. List is going to be map of the string. String is the map. Map is basically just a hash map, right? But I need to collect them. So just like you'd be writing so what this is here is basically you are trying to collect all strings into the list, right? So this time I want to not collect the strings, I want to collect the map. That's what I'm doing here, right? So okay, after that I'm going to first make sure anytime anybody tries to call this, if they don't just call this, and if they call this but they did not call load Excel, then obviously it's gonna fail, right? I don't want that. I want to make sure if the sheet is not blank before proceeding. So I'm going to write if sheet is null, then I would say if sheet is null, sheet is here, right? Sheet is under the different method. So I'd say if sheet is null, then give me this method. Go there and just load the sheet, then read it, right? Then I would say okay, list Okay, I said let's import that array list. Okay, okay, let's just return this map here. Now that red is gone. Okay, now it will give us some more space. Okay, and then what you do after you create the map list, right, then you said let's loop that over. Int get last row num. So I'm saying give me all rows, right? Then what I would say, row equals at this point all I need is just the row. It doesn't matter what index this is. I just want to initialize this row. Okay, so I'm going to loop here for int j equals 1 because I don't want to start from the first one, right? J is less than row dot get last cell num, right? So that is basically the column, and then j plus plus. Okay, so now what I do is I'd say map equals new. So why I'm initializing here is because I want to this start as a new so that it does not loop that over, it does not override it, right? So here what I do here is now I'm going to write another for loop. So for int I equals 1, right? I is less than rows plus 1 I plus plus. Okay, so what I'm doing is here is I said okay, until you get up to the rows, final rows, then only go to the next column, right? If you see the other class, what we did is we first went through the row and then we go to the column. Here we do the vice versa. We go first column because unless you finish the entire column, I don't want to move over the next one. So my goal is to, once it starts from B, I want to go all the way down, and once it hits here, then I said okay, come now here, and because my map is the whole thing, right? I don't want to go with the row by row, so that's why I did that. So I started with the column and then my final loop will be the rows, right? So what happens now is after I did the rows, then what I do is row so this is what I'm using this time differently. This is called cell util, right? So cell util is nothing but the library you can pull from the Apache point. So what this does is you can simply pass the row index and then sheet, right? So row index in this case is I, right? My row index is I because I want that to be incremental, right? First time it goes here, that's row 1, row 2, row 3, like that, right? So my row, I want to increment that row, and then sheet would be the sheet, still the sheet, right? So what's next is what I do here now is string dot, right, get cell rj, right? So R is the row, that is the new row. What I'm saying is I don't want to read the whole row. What I'm saying is I want to focus on this row. I don't want to focus on whole thing, right? That's why I'm dividing that. So I said okay, if you are in this column, you start from this column. Once you are in that loop, my row, you just focus on A and B, right, until you finish this, then you focus on A and C. That's my goal. That's what I'm doing here is because I started another row here. Row is equal to cell I is the loop of the first column, right? And then what I'm saying is then after that you just pass that. So dot, I need to get the string value for the key, import that. So it will be poi, that row is now happy, get string. Okay, so this one is the value, right? And now I can write another one called key. Let's write that as a key. Key would be R and then 0. I don't want that to move over, so I would say my column will remain there, right? The keys is always the first one, so I don't want to. My keys would always be the 0. That's why I don't want to move that over. Only the values gets incremented. That's why I said like that. Okay, my key is key. Key never changes. Okay, after I define my key and a value, then I'll simply put that into my map, which is my little tiny map here. Dot put. Okay, my key is a key, value is value, right? So after my map is created, then what I do is I'm going to add that with my outer map, because if I don't do that, this map will get overwritten next time it goes here. That key will get overwritten with the new one, and then you never get the full sets, right? So you have to put that before it hits that bracket, right? To do that, you have to get outside of this guy, right? And then put that here. So I'll say this map dot, right? Add. So this is the list. I'm going to add that one map into the list. After I add this map list, we know what the map list is. It's the list of map string, right? That map is going to add. So what it does is, in the array list, it's going to collect the whole thing, entire thing into the array list. It gets into the one. So map, that list has I as the first I of that list will be this whole map. Second I will be this whole map, right? So that's what we did now here. So map list is the list, like an array list. Into the array I have stored them, and then that's what I did. And this method is looking for the exactly same thing, right? Once you are done with the whole thing, just return me, right, for doing this. So let's go with this quick recap. I created a map, the method that's collecting the entire map and returning me as a list of those maps. If you have multiple sheets, that's how you deal with it. You first load it. After that, you basically initialize this, right? After that, just get the sheet, because if you don't do this piece here, it's going to fail here. What we are doing is we are first trying to read the row column, and then based on how many columns there are, that's when your loop should start, right? That's the first goal. Your loop should start from first column, and then once the first column is completely done with each rows, then you go to next column. I'm using the cell util in order to do this. Cell util is already provided a poi where you can simply pass the row and the sheet, and it will read that entire row value, right? And then what you do, I'm just going to store them into the map after I get my key and a value, and then my map is going to just return me out. Okay, so that's my whole goal. If you use the same cell utils, and then what happens is going to read the whole cell, but I'm filtering that out to just read one column at a time. Don't read me whole thing. That's what I just did. Okay, and then after that, then your life is just much easier, right? So let's do that. So now let's say you want to read the value, how it would be. Let's call this method and show you what it is there now, right? So your main method is there. Okay, so this is obviously asking exception. So if I want to read this, right, if I just want to read this, let's comment, because I'm already calling through the method, and then let's run. Okay. Okay, here you go. So this map is going to contain the whole thing out. If you have here, then you can compare this whole value, right, whole value into this this map. So here if you see status is married. Okay, the order of the keys is not guaranteed, but it is going to contain all values that you have into the first column as a first map. So now next is status married, right? First one has a married, first name is a Cheryl is the first one, address 2 is a NA, address 2 is NA. All you care about the key is having the same value. So once this map is completely done, then go to the next map. See, next map is first name is Jonna, right? Then it's going to contain the entire column. That's what you are doing here, right? And then so and so there. So it's going to contain all 6 sets of the values, right? So now let's say you want to just read the value. Okay, now what I do, okay, I have that value. Let me just get that value. So what you do before, because it's not directly accessible, you have to first loop through this list, because this is the list of the map, right? So to do that, just write another method, public, let's just write void okay. Here I'm going to just pass, okay, key. Usually what you do, let's just not pass the key for now. So you have to pass this method here, right? So in order to do this, pass that value there. Okay, so once you do that, what you do is then you can simply loop for map equals read, right? So now you are breaking that into the single map. Exactly how you add it, that's how you have to break it, right? So you are passing that whole list, right? Whole list, and then from that list you are breaking that as a for loop. This is an enhanced loop, right? And then what you do is from that map, then you can get the key, right? So for example, this is the key, right? Status is the married, so you can say map dot get, right? That's all you do. Then it is going to give me the value married. So for example, in your test, you are going to do the data driven now. Okay, now you read it with this method. What you do, right? You read with this method. Now what you do, you're going to write like this method. Inside this method, that's where you write your test. So wherever your test runs, your test should not be going across entire map. Your test should be passing this value. For example, you have to write something called driver dot. I'm going to comment this because it is not the not the WebDriver class, so it's just going to read out, so you understand what it will do, right? Driver dot find by dot id, any id, whatever id is, right? Dot send keys. That's how you would write. Then what you do, your test should be formatted like this. Then your test will be passing that value. So what happens is you are running this test. There may be the test call, whatever test is, right? So any regression test, whatever test you had, it's going to pull all the values. Every time it goes, it will just pull the values from that map. Within that map it will enter. So you might be running same test, you can run again and again with the different sets, but what it will do is next time, once that first set of the test completes, then it will automatically go into the second sets of the test, which is here, right? Then it will next time run from the set C and set D and set E, so and so, right? If you don't want any of this tests to run, you might have to just delete them, because otherwise, as much as the columns it is, it will continue to run until entire columns is done. That's what the main purpose of the data-driven framework. Okay, this video has been pretty lengthy, but it has been very helpful. So if you did not have any understanding on this, please feel free to comment. And I really appreciate the way that you asking questions and having all your feedbacks. It helps me improving my more videos and uploading more interesting we have. Okay, looking forward to see on the next video. Thank you very much.